All right, we are here with Cameron Lee. He
Yes, we
is a
are.
Bitcoin Cash designer and merchant, and he's here to talk to us about all things going on in the industry, as well as the Bitcoin Cash City conference that just went on last week. And he had the privilege and great opportunity to give his talk there, which he will share his main points today, and we'll go through and explore exactly how we can find awesome takeaways and put that forward
Yeah,
in the industry. So, Cam, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Another beautiful day in Tokyo.
Awesome, awesome. So yeah, for people that don't really know you too well, can you give us a little bit of your origin story into Bitcoin, what you found exciting
Yeah,
about it, and what you're doing right now?
yeah, man, for sure. I just had a an online shop, years ago, and Bitcoin started getting popular because the price was going up, and so I was like, oh, what's this Bitcoin? I should get into it. And it was really easy to put on my shop, and it happened to be at the same time that I was like overdosing on conspiracy theories and stuff online. So like basically, I assumed that the whole world was out to get me. um, and the central banks. I got to learn all about that. So going through all of that, I'm like, oh, this stuff seems really cool, and at the same time, like cool, and it's a way to like fight the powers that be, right? So I got into all that, and then put it on my site, and then from having it, that was just like that's all she wrote. Once I had it, I was like learning more and getting obsessed and stuff. But that's how it started. That's my radioactive spider.
Awesome, awesome. And so then that spider bit you, and it
Yep.
fueled your blood. It flowed all around, and you found your way over to Australia last week
Yeah.
to give a presentation. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your reaction to just Bitcoin Cash City as a concept and what you saw on the ground there?
Yeah, it was okay. It was cool. I actually have a story that'll like kind of sum it up. Is
Sure.
I was busy the whole time, so I didn't really get to enjoy much. Just kind of go from the hotel to the restaurant and the conference. But the last day I was there, it was a day to chill, and it seemed like everyone was chilling. It was the day after the conference, and so we took this ferry across to this small island, like little tiny island, with jet skis and just super super chill, super small island, like not even developed or anything. And we're there. It's like six of us. We get in, and one of the guys is like, "Oh, excuse me, you take Bitcoin Cash?" And in the back of my head, I'm thinking like, "Oh man, here we go. We're gonna start shilling these people, right?" And then out of nowhere, she's just like, "Yeah, we do." I'm like, "What is going on in this place, dude? It's so cool. Like you can just ask that question and they they don't laugh at you. They're just like, "Yeah, of course we do." So
Why wouldn't
that
we?
was
Right?
yeah, it
Yeah,
was great. It was a trip, dude. So we got to pay like I think just about everything with Bitcoin Cash. It was pretty cool.
that's amazing. Uh, adoption.
Yeah,
So yeah, so then the point was that's a huge epicenter of adoption that's going on. So
yeah,
some folks put together this great conference. They got people like yourself to come in, give presentations, give an update where we are.
yeah.
And can you talk about what was the summary of your talk, and let's walk through some of your main bullet points there.
Oh yeah, for sure. The thing that was like cool about it was like I saw when they were kind of planning the conference. I saw like what they were planning, and I saw they're aiming at merchants and this and that. And I'm not like a Bitcoin talker kind of guy usually, right? Like I love it and I'm working on it all day, but to actually go talk about it, I figure that's better left to the pros. But when it was about merchants, and I looked at like the topics, and I'm like someone's got to speak straight to these people, like, and I didn't see that there, so I threw my hat in the ring, and they liked it. So I just basically like the talk was, should you accept Bitcoin, right? Like the straight question, like, because like, okay, now I'm rambling, but like, I'd get in the cab, right, out there in Australia, and some people didn't know about it, and some guys like, oh, what's that Bitcoin? And they're so far away from understanding what it is. If we're so deep in it and we know like all these things, and like, you could say it's like what is it, like a distributed timestamp server. Like if you're that far in the weeds, you've forgotten what it's like to be a person who's like, Bitcoin, I heard of that. Where that's as far as they've gotten, right? So like
Exactly.
I just tried to talk straight. Like if you have a business, this kind of business, you should take Bitcoin. This kind of business, maybe it's not as strong for you. So yeah, I could go deeper if you want, but yeah, that was the general thing I talked about.
Well, yeah, just to touch on that to begin with,
Yeah,
it does seem that we often get lost in the idea of sort of, we learn more and more and more, and then we're sort of like in the esoteric, arcane,
yeah,
little bubble of, are UTXOs all created equal, and are they like all fungible? And like, you have
yeah,
those,
yeah,
or like, is Bitcoin really money, or is it really signatures and
yep,
numbers you can't know? So there's all these things over there where we can
yeah,
go off on tons of tangents. But you're totally right that once you get downstream from all that stuff, you have the merchant or the casual person that's coming to this perhaps for the first time,
yeah,
and they don't have any sort of interface to like go that deep, and all they know is
yeah,
what's presented to them at surface. So yeah, I mean,
yeah.
uh, why is presenting to the merchant at that level so vital?
I was just thinking when I was preparing for it, I hadn't done a public speech before, I think ever, right? And so it's weird for me. But all I did was like I thought what got me into it, and it was Andreas A. and Roger Ver videos where they were just hitting the big points, right? And like now they're off into their worlds, right? Like they've gone full Krawitz on us. So like that's cool. Like we need them to, but like at the same time, I was just thinking like that original thing that got me excited and got everybody else excited. I just thought it'd be good to go back to that. So I think the reason to talk to the merchant straight is, and I put this in my talk, I think, is we're idealists, with some weird reasons and stuff like that. These people have payroll, they have, sales targets, they're keeping the lights on. They don't give a crap about central banking systems or, you know what I mean? They don't care at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it's like just to be respectful of them and speak to them in their language makes more sense. Like, hey, you care about money, you care about day to day. Here's the good points, here's the bad points. You decide, right? I thought that was a more a more respectful way to talk to someone than just like, no man, you just install a wallet, it's really easy, write down your 12 words and then kumbaya. Right? It ain't like that, dude. So
Exactly. I mean, yeah, or it's like, in other camps that are out there in crypto, it's
yeah,
it's not even that. That's like sort of the easiest thing you can do. It's here's a 1,200 word book or page book that you have to read first, and then once you finish that book, there's 10 other books you got to read.
oh,
You have to
make sure you
fully
get your full
understand
node.
Austrian economics. Yeah, you gotta
Yeah.
gotta run your own full node. Here, we gotta plug it in from this end to that end, and make sure
Exactly.
you lose money on running a home miner. So like
Yeah,
that's not the way to talk to the normie, I guess,
right, exactly.
to use that nomenclature. So yeah, I mean, this is how we need to reorient a lot of our talking points while within
Yeah.
our own, like, hey, when we're all at the conference together among all of the people that are inside the inner
Oh
circle,
yeah.
have those discussions. But yeah, for the
Yeah.
majority of the outer circle conversations, we should be hitting the points that you're making.
Yeah. And it, dude, trust me, we had some deep conversations, around a couple schooners of, Australian beer, and it was really fun. It is fun to go out into the weeds. It's just like can't always take that, to the public, right?
Exactly. You can't give the public weeds. You got to give them flowers. That's
Exactly.
what they want.
Everybody loves flowers.
There you go.
Well,
Okay, cool.
I could also like hit you with the summary of my answer. Like,
Of
so
course.
like, should you accept Bitcoin? I got lucky. Like Omri was I think it was Omri. I'm like, should you accept Bitcoin? And he's like, yes. And I was like, you would think, right?
Yeah.
But basically what I figured was, and I could be wrong, but this is just my opinion is, if you're an online business, especially with Shopify, because it's just click, done, right? Then you're kind of dumb if you're not taking Bitcoin. It's so simple and it opens you up to a new market. So that's obvious. If you're a freelancer, right, especially in a country like Venezuela or something like that that's having trubs, just, you know what I mean? It's another avenue. So just like, yes, you should be. Any kind of like online service where you deal with people, through online, I think, yes, you should be. Um, I did some work recently with Eat BCH, so I got to learn about all that they're doing, and it's a fascinating story they've done a lot of really serious work and pulled in a lot of cash, and it's all thanks to Bitcoin Cash community and the work they're doing. So if you're humanitarian, I'm not going to give you the solid no-brainer. You got to know, your thing more than me. But I think charities should definitely be looking into it. The only one that I'm not, and anything like gray market, like I don't think like black market really is a great selling. Like if you do that, like you're doing your thing. So I'm not really there to like advise either way, right? But if you're doing something that's like legal, but just like old ladies don't like it, then I think you should do it. So like cam girls, what's it called? Anything they're shutting down. Like if you're like a political dissident, you know what I mean? Like they're shutting down your PayPal or whatever, you should be taking it. That's almost like you're dumb if you're not, kind of thing. Who else? Yeah, anything where it's like legal, like gray market stuff, legal, but they're shutting you down. I would definitely do that. The only one that I felt like not 100% was like if you're like a small coffee shop in like rural Wisconsin or something. Yeah, you might get like one customer or something. If you're interested, obviously I'm not going to discourage you, but I don't know, like maybe now is not the time. So that's the summary of the answer that I came to.
Cool. And, again, all these people are operating at the surface level of cryptocurrency, not just Bitcoin Cash.
Right.
So they're seeing all these coins float in front of their eyes. And
Yeah.
really the only thing that comes to them first are the coins getting the most, volume out of the megaphone. So
Yeah.
what is your pitch to them to say, hey, yeah, there's other cryptocurrencies you can use, but like Bitcoin Cash can solve so much more of your problems?
All right. So what I'm about to say might be a bit controversial, and it's just my opinion, but
Do
like
it.
this is where I stand.
Spicy.
Cryptocurrency is stupid, right? The coins are stupid. All of the coins are stupid. We all know they're stupid. Pot coin, dental coin, we know that they're stupid. They are dumb. And if you're a regular person listening to me say this, right, you're going to be like, that's what I thought. Yeah, it's dumb. They are dumb. Peer-to-peer cash is great. So I would say any coin that is like, oh, we're gonna take chickens and put them on the blockchain, like just run away, dude. Like that's dumb. But like if it's someone that's trying to do like peer-to-peer money, I think that it's worth listening to them. So that would be BTC Bitcoin. They're saying that the Lightning Network is gonna do that. If that's your bag, if you think that works, at least it's going that direction. I'm not a fan of like Litecoin or anything, but that's there for peer-to-peer cash. That's kind of what they're aiming for. Obviously, some of the privacy ones. So I think like probably you could pull a handful, like a dozen maybe to look at. There's probably less than a dozen to actually look at. So from my point of view, cryptocurrency is stupid. Peer-to-peer cash is great. Of the peer-to-peer cash, personally, I think Bitcoin Cash has the best shot right now. That's my stance summed up. So I would say ignore the thousands of stupid ones. Look into the ones and pick your favorite flavor.
There you go. So ignore stupidity.
There you go. Yeah.
Exactly. So they can disregard all those other coins, and then they're presented with, the sort of top 10, top 5 even.
Sure.
So, you'll have a lot of people that will get tribalistic about it. Oh, you can only have one coin, but like, really, should we say, why don't you actually accept all? I mean, if you're a person that wants money and like that's your goal, like an affiliation to a coin is not really part of that. And you should just do whatever maximizes your potential revenue. And that's where we see, like, let's take an example like Haven by OpenBazaar. They allow for multiple cryptocurrencies. I believe they're onboarding more for their decentralized marketplace. So a merchant can go just pop open a store within like 2 minutes. They can be totally onboarded.
Wow.
And they can just decide, okay, I'll take all these different cryptocurrencies, and basically my customers will decide for me what cryptocurrency is the best to be used to buy things.
There you go. Yeah. The only one I say that, like, yeah, to have an affiliation, especially as a merchant, is just bad business, right? You just take money to sell your product or service. It's so simple, right?
Hmm.
The only one that I could actually, and I still take it on my shop, but the only one that I would consider taking off would be BTC. The only reason being that the fees are too much. Like, it's cheaper to take Visa in some cases, not right now, but so if the fees ever get back up to $20, $50 or something, I'd probably take that off. Has nothing to do with my personal opinion or taste. It's just, you want to pay the fees, for me to, like, transfer it within, and yeah, fine. But yeah, so BTC is probably the only one that I would consider taking off for any reason. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we went over, what the introduction of your talk was, who are the
Yeah.
ideal users, and what are the advantages and disadvantages, and how adoption should be communicated to those merchants. Are there any other items that you kind of concluded the talk with?
I just kind of had fun with it. I tried to focus on the real challenges that I went through. Because I really just, like, told how I went through it. And, I mean, KYC came up a lot. That was really, I'd say KYC is the biggest pain in the butt. Because I'm just a person, like, doesn't know anything about this stuff, right? I just see Bitcoin come up in the news. I put it on my shop. And then within like 3 weeks, they're like, oh, you need to send an ID. I was like, no, I don't. This is anonymous money. What are you doing? And so I actually stopped taking cryptocurrency for probably like 6 months or a year or something. So I was like, I ain't gonna do that. It was just done. I was like, well, I took Bitcoin, now I don't. Like, oh well. So I think KYC, anything you can do to get around KYC requirements, is probably a good thing. But no, I think that's the bulk of it. Um, I just I would just like to see. I guess I thought about it, like, thinking after the conversation, is like, okay, so now that I've got these suggestions, it's like online shops, um, you know, gray market, etc. Freelancers. Like, why don't we just target them? Like, who's hustling to go out to, like, go get them? Find out, like, you got Shopify on your site, you don't take Bitcoin. Why? It takes 5 minutes. Here's instructions how to do it. Like, most people would just be like, okay, I'll do that. So yeah, I don't know. Like, I think that's probably the takeaway that I'm kind of building on it from then, is like, all right, well, now that we've identified these people, how do we get to them? I guess probably.
Yeah, and it's sort of not just making ourselves feel good with sort of throwing a little video of, oh, look, this coffee shop actually
Right,
takes crypto,
right.
or like, oh, like, here's a meme that we can all feel good about within our little
Yeah,
community, and makes us get a dopamine hit. But like you're saying, there's sort of like
yeah,
this behind the scenes, just what a company would employ like a team of salesmen to
right,
do, just
right.
cold email, cold call, see what's
Yep.
going on. And these things can be automated. These things can be, have a process to it, so we can figure out like what is the best way to target these types of merchants. And
Yeah.
how do we actually start moving this ball forward? So like, what do you think that we're in this decentralized community? How do
Yeah.
we actually create that structure of basically a decentralized sales team?
Profit is the only thing that I can think, and I don't know in that. You got the big boys like Bitcoin.com, right? They're pushing a lot of good things, that I don't know. I have no idea. Like, is their wallet profitable? Like, it's not. I don't know, right? But to me, like, for the rest of us, we need to just show someone, like, there's probably a hustler sitting out there somewhere, right? Sitting in his room, pacing around, like, what can I buy for $1 and sell for $2? Like, how can I make some money? How can I make some money, right? And if we could just have a business model in mind, which I don't know right now. I don't have one, but like, if there's some kind of business model that's like, here, go out, hustle. Like, maybe, and I'm just spitballing, this could be a stupid idea, but like, maybe like a point of sale, maybe someone makes a point of sale app or something that has a profit model built in, and then go sell it. Like, so I think like, if there is no way to profit from Bitcoin related businesses, then maybe Bitcoin isn't a great idea, right? So I think it is, but I just think we need to get a little more. We need to get a little bit off the whole like, oh man, this community's so great, we all come together, right? That's good at the open source level, and that's good, where it is now. But like, the next level, the real world, that requires like money and grit and hustle, and those people don't give a care about kumbaya. So I guess if we could just start showing some people how they could get their beaks wet while at the same time promoting it, I think that would probably have the biggest impact, because you could like show 10 people how to do it, and those 10 people could go out and like fish or whatever.
Yeah, well, it's almost creating the equivalent of like, there are these bug bounty programs, or like there's ways
Yeah,
that people do hackathons, where you kind of, you put the calling out there, the call to action, and then you
yeah,
just get this swarm of decentralized agents coming forward and,
yeah,
acting on that. And then hopefully the best person within that group rises to the top, and then, they accomplish your goal. So if there's a way that we
yeah,
can recreate that, like a
yeah,
sales-a-thon or a like sales bounty program, where
yeah,
whether, like you were saying, hey, there's a point of sale app that sort of has maybe a more built-in commission system, a referral
yeah,
system, or perhaps there's something that's a little bit more like event driven, like every month there'll be this bounty, and like you need to pull in 10 merchants, or maybe we'll
yeah,
identify like a big merchant, let's just say, and this is what people were doing back in the day. This is why,
yeah.
like stream, what is it called? Steam, not stream,
Oh, Steam. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
video game thing. This is why they took crypto back in the day, because somebody hit them up and
Yeah,
convinced them. So like, what if we like every month came up with that contest to say there's a reward for whoever gets this company onboarded,
yeah.
and go out, make it happen, and if you can prove that's you, then kudos, you won, you get
You
the
know,
profit.
that's interesting you say that. I'm just thinking this through. Like, when I worked on the Eat BCH thing, I had no idea how it ever started, but I was like going through it and reading and stuff. And apparently it was like Jonathan Silverblood was talking to Jose on Reddit, and it was basically like, he's like, hey, we got these hungry people. I don't think he even had a plan to help. He's like, hey, we got hungry people. And, Jonathan's just like, I got a couple bucks, you really want to do this? And it came together. So I guess, I could imagine a world where, let's say, profit isn't the thing, right? But let's say that there's some whale somewhere who's like got a specific thing. Like he's like, oh, I want merchants taking it, right? I'm willing to pay $10 for every merchant you bring on, or whatever, right? Like if there was a way to connect those guys, people with the money but don't want to put the hustle, with the people willing to hustle, that's not quite a straight profit, easy. It's a bit charity-ish, right? So a little too charity for my taste, but still, I mean, like you could connect those people, the money to the workers. Like, yeah, I mean, because what you want is you want someone there, like you said, man in the bones. Like, these are rookie numbers, right? Just like, come on, get them to buy, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we need that. We need that hustle, dude. We need that hustle on our team.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, everyone that has really had a serious experience inside of like a marketing or sales team, like understands the whole idea of law of big numbers and like how
Yeah,
conversion rates work, that you just need, like, you're probably always going to convert like 2% or so
right.
of the people that you hit to, actual buyers of whatever you're hawking.
Yeah,
So if you keep up that output and you keep, generating leads, you're going to actually have a pretty big in absolute numbers, sales pipeline that you develop versus, just still, it would be a 2% conversion rate. So
yeah,
yeah, I mean,
exactly.
this is the hard problem, but it sounds like we might be, solving E equals MC squared of Bitcoin marketing right now.
Yeah, I mean, really, dude, I think when it comes down, it's just like show people they can make money. And I don't have the answer for how just yet, but I'll tell you, if you start posting things like you can actually make money with this, then I think it'll solve itself somehow.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, we covered the gamut there on
Yeah.
adoption. Unless you have any other finer points there, I'd love to talk bit more about what your experience was. We talked about how you interacted in the town of Bitcoin
Yeah.
Cash City. But what about all the other Bitcoin Cash people that you interacted with too? Like all the people that were in that inner circle?
Oh, dude, it's so fun. I mean, like the one thing, like if you've been, if, have you been to like a conference or been around like at a meetup with a lot of, people into Bitcoin?
Yes.
Okay, so you know it's like, first of all, everyone's a touch unique, right? They're all a
Oh yeah.
little bit special, and they're all pretty intelligent. So like every time you turn around, there's a pretty deep conversation going on that's usually exciting. And I think probably my favorite part is like I've been in like some circles before where like we have good conversations and everyone agrees on everything. But my favorite part about Bitcoin is like I have not met a single person where we agree 100%. It's like we could totally agree, and then just on one point just diverge so far, and that's fun. Like it's everyone's like free thinking and stuff. So being able to just wake up like kind of walk over to the place and sit down, and there's a bunch of people already having coffee or brewskis or something, and it's just right in the middle of a good conversation. So it's that part that part was dope.
That's great. That's great. Are there any talks in particular that you thought shined a great light on something going on?
Well, actually, the bad part is like I was so busy when I was there, I didn't catch the talks. I'm catching them on YouTube now when they're coming out. But I am going through Josh's right now, Josh Ellithorpe's,
Mm-hmm.
and he had some great points. I was actually cutting some little pieces out of it. He had some really hot takes on like privacy and stuff like that. Like something where it's just like my thought too is just I'm gonna paraphrase. I don't think he said it anything like this, but it's like it's not your business what I do with my money, right? It's like if I'm lucky enough to scrounge up some money from this cold earth, right, and I have some money, it's not your business what I do with it, whether it's for good or bad. It's just like get out, go away, leave me alone. So yeah, he had some good takes on that and how to get around it, of course.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely saw some bits and pieces of his talk that were coming out. Really great stuff there.
I'm
So go on.
I'm also looking forward to Omri's because I know he talked about culture, so I'm really curious to see what he said. That's one that I'm looking forward to watching.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen that one just now, and
Yeah,
hopefully I don't spoil it for you. But to maybe
sure.
if we could branch it off because
Yeah.
there could be some overlapping points that he made in terms of what we were just discussing. He
Oh, got
talks
you.
about how we need to create a culture. We need to talk about how we think about community actors in terms of rewarding them, and also in a sense sort of finding ways to have them exit if they are seen as bad actors,
Yeah.
and also instilling sort of norms, rules, and ways that we can start just applying more structure. So
Yeah.
on that note, and I know you haven't seen the talk, but where
Yeah.
do you think that we can start like applying some of those items that Amari brought up?
Oh man, I have got the answer for you. And since it's coin spice, this is one of my spiciest takes. Um, I think that the developer-led culture that we're in right now is absolute trash. Garbage. Like you would never, and when I say developer, I'm not really talking about protocol, that kind of thing, the clients and everything. They seem to have their things together. They seem to know what they're doing. That seems to have to be a developer-led part, right? So there's the protocol level, but then when you're building on top of it, the culture of developers that we've built is just so bad. Like like there and like my favorite guy is Poxed. Like I really like him. So like I'm saying this all with love, but like he's just like he shoots out a new app like once a week or something like that. And I'm railing on him all the time. Like, dude, you're gonna give up. Like you got no profit model. You're gonna get bored. You're gonna get a girlfriend. Like you're gonna stop working on this and you've got nothing in place to keep it going. So like I think what I'd like to do is I think the biggest cultural shift I'd like to see is um, these glamorizing these lone wolf, unwriter, poxed, like, oh, I just made this new app, aren't I cool? Instead of glamorizing them, like, I'd like to put a little more focus on the people who work as like part of a team. like the Fuke Ball, Josh Ellithorpe does this kind of thing. Like Kaylin, I think, where they're working on a part of a project. And this is actually Josh's idea. He told me this, like rather than like put the spotlight on the people who's just like, oh, I got this new app, right, that I'm going to forget about in 6 months. Let's say like, oh, this guy, worked really hard on this part of this bigger app. I think it would be nice if we could shine more attention on those people. Then I think we would get better products that are well maintained, that we can count on. And I think that would eventually lead to someone's going to say like, well, if we're going to keep this going, we're going to need to make some money, so then maybe they can have marketing budgets and actually be able to pay developers rather than. So that's, I think, the biggest thing I'd like to see is I'd like to see some of the kumbaya leave the developer world and get a little bit down to business. That's what I'd like to see.
Spicy take for
Spicy,
sure.
Right?
So do you think that comes down to ultimately, like you mentioned, we're in this open source ecosystem, and there is this dichotomy between like individual donations to developers, and again, not even sometimes developer teams, but just individual developers. And then over here, you have the totally entrepreneurial sort of profit-driven revenue models that people are trying to figure out. And so if this is a spectrum, should we be like way over here to like always like find ways to generate business models, or is there a healthy balance between the two?
Well, also, I think it's case by case. Like, I ran this by the Cash Shuffle guys. That's when it hit my head when they were releasing Cash Shuffle. And like Cash Shuffle doesn't really apply. Like that might have to be an open source project. The protocol, the mining, ABC, those probably have to stay open source to some extent. And, I think Omri's talking about more of a Linux Foundation kind of funding style for those. Like, I think that's fair. It's just, if you're making a wallet app and it's free forever, well, you're going to go the way of Yenim or Handcash, and we're going to lose you. So like, I'd rather pay $3, and be able to know that it's maintained. So I think it's a case by case basis. And obviously, like, my dramatic clickbait, spicy, just like, we need suits to rein these stupid developers in and put them in their place. Obviously, it's not really that hard. It's just like, I'd like to see a little more business sense and on a case by case basis. And I think we'll be all over the spectrum as we are in cryptocurrency already.
Oh, we are certainly on the spectrum.
We are certainly on the spectrum.
For sure. I think that's how we have to think about it. And even with some of these teams and guys, it doesn't even have to mean that an individual project needs to be totally revenue focused. If they're thinking like in terms of their time and their resource allocation, they can do a totally like free altruistic wallet or some other product that they make. But at the same time, like maybe that's 20% and then 80% is devoted to how they would actually build a business around perhaps another product or service that kind of leverages maybe even the brand of that first product to go there. I had Josh Green of Software Verde, and he wrote this new Bitcoin Cash implementation, Bitcoin Verde, and he was also at the Australia conference. And I remember what he said was they're looking at ways that they can leverage their sort of expertise as developing the open source Bitcoin software to basically be consultants. So when business actually run the open source, they can come in and they can provide, whether it's, just sort of knowledge and expertise and sort of guiding a business on how to operate, or if there's like updates down the road and like how exactly will things change, and they can be the smartest guys in the room. And that's really how you start to leverage the open source altruism with sort of a profit model over here.
Yeah, and you know what? It's just what you said. I mean, when you said that, I mean, the companies are popping into my head like that have done that exact model. There's plenty of people with open source products that run businesses around it, right? So just taking the step and actually thinking that through and saying, what are we going to do for revenue? Just that step is probably going to be enough. It's not too tough, right? So yeah, I just like to see a little more thought in that direction, probably.
Yeah, for sure. And this is something that I do find funny in this world of we're so concerned about merchant adoption and
Yeah,
disruptive tech that one of, I guess you could say, like a school of thought within just startup ideology or Silicon Valley-ism is that whole like
yeah,
lean startup, that whole
yeah,
methodology around how do you actually build something from nothing? How do you go, as like a Peter Thiel would say, 0 to 1?
yeah,
And it's so much of it has to do with figuring out what is a sustainable business model and how
yeah,
do you get as much feedback from customers as possible and iterate along the way. And it seems like that methodology, that school of thought is to some degree absent.
yeah. One thing that I will say is, I'll actually come and defend us
Sure.
Bitcoin people for a little bit. Is I've worked with like probably like over 100 startups, in at various levels, like over the last years, and none of them are really thinking that way. Like it's always the same thing. Like I didn't get to this point like I was like bestowed with some wisdom. It's just like after working with everyone, it's like, okay, you guys all fail at the exact same place, and it's usually some pie in the sky. Because like, what are you gonna do? Like, if you're not a visionary, then you can't really start a new thing, right? You're not probably not gonna be an entrepreneur. So you got to be a visionary. But it's the rare person who's a visionary, but can like turn that off and be down to earth at the same time and maintain both places at the same time. That's a rare person. And if I look back, I've probably only met a couple, and those people succeed very, very well. So I think the way that we typically get around that in the real world for the rest of us is we get one visionary and one regular person, one suit, put the two together and you'll probably do okay. Um, yeah, I think so. So being a little nice to them, but yeah, just thinking through that step, like what's oh dude, the advice they always give you whenever you start a business is just like, talk to an accountant and a lawyer. Right. And me being more of a startup, scrappy kind of guy, it's like, well, ignore that stupid advice. Right.
Mhm.
Then after going
Those
through it
come
a few
later.
times, yeah, but that's actually like now, if anyone asks me, it's like talk to your accountant and a lawyer. Make sure you got the money and the law set first. So
Mhm.
like, yeah, to put just all I ask is just what's your business model, right? And if you come at me with like, like, oh, we build the Bitcoin brand and then our bags pump, I'm gonna be like, all right, dude, that's a little too out there for me. But like just a business model. Hit me with that. It could be a dumb business model. Just have a plan, not just like some like, yeah, dude, we'll all come together. It's dumb. That's my
Yeah, it's
take.
the that South Park underpants gnomes
Exactly.
plan. Steel underpants question mark profit.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
yeah, we cannot be underpants gnomes in Bitcoin.
We cannot.
No. Uh, God. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I totally hear that, and but yeah, I think as much as we talk about merchant adoption, I think those key conversations and not just sort of just having them, but also recording them, like finding ways that
Oh, right.
like can you employ like surveys, even if like you have like a human to human face to face conversation, are
Yeah.
you like afterwards logging all the information, like what questions did you ask, like what were the answers, and
Right.
can you like create a you know side by side comparison of like 10 versions of that with 10 different customer types? Can you see a
Yeah.
pattern? And these are the
Yeah.
things that while I don't think people are not thinking about them or trying to hit customers in this way, it would be great if just we could emphasize that as a community to square in on those elements to like have, okay, well, the way that you figure out like those business models and seeing what works and seeing what features, what things you need to
Yeah.
add, or even like what things you need to take away, um, that is what we need. And on that note too, it's um, I was reading this story about Sony when they were
Okay.
first starting. They were launching the Walkman,
Oh, yeah.
and originally the design for it included not just like you could play cassette tapes, but you could also record because it
Okay.
really wasn't that hard to like fit both in.
Yeah. It's just a red
And
button.
the CEO actually on the first iteration of that scrapped the recording feature from it because he said, this is totally new, because even at back then,
yeah,
like having like earphones and being out in public, like listening to music, like that was weird. That was like the Bitcoin
yeah,
user of the day. And
yeah,
the CEO at the time suggested that if we try to cloud this with like different, I mean, even if it's just two, just like multiple use cases, it's going to
yeah,
confuse people that are already not on
yeah,
board with this new thing. So we need to actually simplify down to like, what is the core element here? And then
yes.
we can, after people are comfortable, start adding new things in. So like on
You
that
know what?
note, yeah,
Yeah,
go on.
yeah. Yeah, I got something with that. Like that's actually like, because I'm all about simplifying. I think that the simple is usually the most sophisticated way, right? And so I met like this bartender there, right? Like I felt bad. He's like, some young dude. He's just working there at Tendon Bar, like Amory, Lundeberg, all these dudes sitting around having this like insane conversation, right? And I'm like, hey, can I get a highball? Like you understanding any of this, right? He's like, no, not at all. And so I was just messing with him, but I was like, yeah, Bitcoin's cool, dude. He's like, he goes like this. He's like, I'm into chemistry, I'm into physics, right? Young guy, so probably technology isn't a big deal for him. It isn't a barrier. He's probably smart enough to understand this stuff. He's like, I can't wrap my head around online money. And you know what I said? I was like, bro, it's an app. You just install the app. I can send you some. That's it. And I started saying that to a couple people, and it seemed like you just get it down to the very basics. It's just an app, dude. You just install the wallet, you get money, and then you can figure out, you can go down the rabbit hole later,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, trying to find the simplest way to get it into people's heads. Like I'd say saying it's just an app is maybe a bit too simplified, but it's just money is like a lot easier. Like I think maybe we need to separate the distributed timestamp server conversation, kind of keep that away from public ears for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, even with fiat, I mean, you mentioned at the start of the show your origin
Yeah,
and how you learned about the central banking system.
yeah.
How many normies walking around out there actually understand how the central bank is actually issuing the currency and not the government,
Oh,
or
zero,
how
zero.
this all comes together? So even in our grand utopia that will occur some point down the road
Right.
of total Bitcoin saturation,
Yeah.
how many people will actually fully ingratiate and understand and go down the rabbit hole of all the
Less than
technical
five.
matters here?
Less
Yeah,
than 5% at the absolute peak. That's
exactly.
insane. That like, yeah, the things that got me into it will not get other people into it. It's that simple. Nobody is interested in the things I'm interested in, and shouldn't be. Like they got bigger fish to fry. So, but I wanted to go back to something you were saying when you were describing the situation of like people maximizing numbers and identifying trends and stuff like that. And like when you said that, it kind of solidified what I'm trying to say. It's like we need suits. We need suits that care about that stuff, right? We are a suit-free environment, and I know like it's going to chafe all the artists and the developers. Like I understand the aversion to suits, but suits help, right? Like we need suits, and suits want money. So if we could just convince suits that there's money here, then I think we'll solve a lot of problems. We got the people ready to work. We just need someone to direct them.
There we go. That is, couldn't say it better myself. Although I will say, maybe we could get a certain type of suit. Maybe not like.
Fine, fine. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I won't be
Uh,
working with them, so it's not my problem. But yeah.
None of us are wearing suits here. Yeah, but I totally hear what you're saying. I think this is something that we've seen. You could imagine from the BTC world a little bit in their
Yeah.
version of this is that they always talk about institutional is coming, that
Right, right.
the only way to succeed is the price going up, and the only way for the price to
Right.
go up in any meaningful sense, in any way that they can sort of have a direct connection to, is having a pitch session with some hedge fund, with some big financial player, and then once they come in as the suit in the room that actually
Yeah,
see the thesis of the investment case they're making,
yeah.
that's what's going to take them over the board. But what you're really saying is it's not that suit. It's not like the
Sure.
iBanker exactly. It is
Right, right.
this. It's the salesman suit, or it's the it's the guy that comes in and understands how to grow a business.
But it's perfect because like the way I see it is like, BTC is digital gold. Its number go up. It's an investment, right? It's not my flavor of coin, but for what it is, like they have their plan pretty clearly set out. And you know what? Like they're going about it the right way. Doing aiming for institutional and all that stuff. Like for what they've got, they're hustling, right? But yeah, if we're merchants, if we're like, cash for the world, yeah, we need the suits that are like, you know, I'm thinking about the guys who sell like, point of sale systems. Anyone who deals with business and sells business service to someone, like those are hustling companies. And that's what we should be. That's the type of suit, that's the flavor we should probably go for.
There we go. That's the flavor. And if we
Yeah.
can get them a little bit spicier along the way,
Yeah,
that's the best type. So cool, dude. We walked through the conference, your talk, all the
Yeah,
different interactions that happen, and especially we jumped on merchant adoption in general and how to
totally.
figure out this crazy world. So we're now coming to a conclusion, wrapping up.
Okay.
Are there any points that you wanna lay out, industry in general, where we're going, where we are, where we were?
Yeah, I do got one more. Some people asked me about like how this conference compared to the Satoshi's vision. I thought it was a good question. Satoshi's vision, everyone was just like, we're flippening is coming, right? Bitcoin Cash is Bitcoin. Like we were in it, we were on it, we were going. A lot of excitement. That's a lot of that's gone, and that seemed maybe like a bad thing the way I said it, but like it was more of a mature, serious, roll up the sleeves if you got them, let's work kind of attitude. And I would say it was a more positive feeling than just the raw excitement of flippening. So I think we're in a really good place. Really good place. The people who are working, we got some solid people and they're working hard and having fun along the way. So I think we're in a good place personally.
There we go. Well, thank you for being on. And
Oh, my pleasure, dude.
yeah, anything you want to plug?
Nah, I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
All right. So everybody, stay spicy.
Stay spicy indeed.